Q4 2025 could be the biggest opportunity in crypto in years. And we don't know exactly how it's going to play out. Everyone's expecting October. Are we going to get a crash in the crypto market? Are we going to go into 2026? Because it's a valid point and it's a valid question, because a lot of top analysts are saying that this market's going to be extended going into 2026. What do I think personally, guys? You know me. We've looked at the data, we've analyzed the data, we've looked at previous cycles, and I say if it's not broken, don't try and fix it. Until the market's extended, until it tells me that it's extended, until we flow into 2026, I'm sticking with my thesis, because ultimately, if I'm wrong, and then I look at market 2026 for the peak of the cycle, and my exit strategy is in accordance with that 2026 end, what happens if I'm wrong in 2025 and December it comes crashing down? I'll tell you what happens. You lose everything, guys. And I promise you, you lose everything. So how can you prepare for that? Ultimately, if you're scaling out the market during the period of a bull market, then that means that you're banking, and you're banking along the way. What happens if you take all your cash early and then you go parabolic? It means you've got a little bit of capital that you can put back into the market, 5%, 10%, ride the wave. If you're right, you're right. If you're wrong, you're wrong. And it's not bad to have gambling money right at the end if you've made strong gains and made sure that you've got that exit strategy in place. And before we look at the charts, what I want to do is understand exactly, is retail coming into the market? Can you see strength as far as altcoins are concerned? And you can see on the weekly, anybody that's bought altcoins within the top 100 this week is up, other than the odd couple of unlucky ones, XPL, FTN, Saros. Got a couple of little ones down here. So pretty much the whole of the market is green. That's strong. Sentiment's coming in, retail sentiment's coming in. But we need to ask the question, why is retail sentiment coming in now? Because the markets are forward looking, which brings us to the next step, the Fed rate cut decision going into FOMC on October the 29th. So this is the Fed rate decision now. This is what the probabilities are of having a 25 basis point, 0.25%, cut during the next FOMC meeting on October the 29th. Polymarket's putting it at 90%. So we understand that retail are getting interested, markets are forward looking. We've got a 90% probability of getting a 25 basis point rate cut. That's pretty much nearly guaranteed. We're going to get another rate cut. What does that signal? It signals a continuation of QE. That's the second rate cut in a row. And then you're expected to have another one by the end of the year as well. So it's all dependent on the data, guys. These things can change, but ultimately we've got a high probability of having a 25 basis point rate cut. What does that actually mean as far as the macro is concerned? Think about this. It means that people can look at getting mortgages. People can get mortgages at cheaper rates. People can remortgage at cheaper rates. Mortgage payments come down. When mortgage payments come down, it gives people more capital. When people have more capital, it puts money into the economy. What about loans? People want to have loans on favorable rates. When the interest rates are high, they don't want to pay high interest. When the interest rates are low, they're happy to pay low interest. So as the rates are coming down, more people are borrowing. What does that do? Put money into the economy. And then from a macro perspective, you've got governments as well. Governments have massive amounts of debt. They need to refinance their debt. They need to do it at favorable levels. Whilst the interest rates are high, they're not at favorable levels. And we're talking trillions now as far as world debt's concerned. Stupid amounts of debt. So they need to refinance their debt. What does that do? When they refinance their debt, they borrow more money. What does that do? Put money back into the economy. So that's why you get a flow of liquidity in the economy. And that's why you need confidence from a forward-looking market. So we've got 90% chance. Next, we're going to look at this. This is month-on-month returns, and you can see, as far as Bitcoin's concerned, you can see monthly returns. Pretty much every single month for Bitcoin in October has been green. It's been 2 months that's been red. What are they? That's this one, 2018. What happened in 2018? We had the bull market in 2017. We had the bear market in 2018. Bitcoin got hit hard. Altcoins got absolutely annihilated. Then you've got the 2014, is it? 2014, minus 12.95%. So pretty much the same scenario. That's an even bigger hit. Obviously 3.83%, not much. So overall, on average, 20.63% for October. November, you've got 46.02%. So November, you often get parabolic moves going into November. And if you remember in 2021, that was the end of the crypto market. Everything crashed hard. So you've got November, that's quite difficult because that's parabolic. If you're not in the market, then it's hard to play. And then you've got December, ultimately. December tends to be end of the market, end of year sell off, and then crashing down. So we'll have to see what happens. Ultimately, I don't know what happens. We just look at the data. So if we jump into the charts now and look at the macro, and we will start with Bitcoin, because Bitcoin, we talked about 3 key levels here. Ultimately, this is going to play out in a few different scenarios, and we're going to go over them scenarios now, because the key levels are the 78.6% retracement of this swing here, this swing here, 78.6. What does this represent, this move here? That represents strength. When you're pulling back 78.6 of a swing, that's showing that the bulls, in this case, are regaining some form of momentum. What do we need to happen in the short term? We need a break and we need a close of the 78.6, which is sat at $120,000, 962, for us to get a continuation and potentially new all-time highs. That's one scenario. Does it mean it's going to happen? Could happen. We don't know. We need to understand if it's going to breach the 786 first. Second scenario is a rejection at this level. You get a rejection at this level, a pullback to the 61.8% retracement, holding that as support at 117,979, and then a continuation to the upside to come back and test these previous highs here. So that's the second scenario. The third one, unfortunately, is a deeper pullback. And as long as you're maintaining a higher low, which you would be if you come back and tested this 38.2, then you can look for an acceleration. But the question is, how do altcoins react if that happens? We can look at dominance to find out how they'd react, because we look at dominance and we've been talking about one thing. Let me get rid of this. Get rid of that. We've been talking about one thing, this drop in dominance. When you zoom out and you zoom out and you zoom out, you see 2 previous alt seasons. When did they happen? When we got a drop in dominance. That happened in 2017 and it happened in 2021. This is what happened in 2017, alt season, all the way to the bottom here. And we understood one thing. There, rejection, we're creating a wedge. Rejection, 2021, creating a wedge. And then in 2025, we said on the channel here, is this wedge going to be respected? Yes, it was respected. So this was the first indication. That was the first swing of altcoins. That's when they started outperforming Bitcoin for that period of time. Ultimately, we need to look now and understand, is Bitcoin dominance going to pull up, reject before another move down, or are we going to fail at this level here and just start moving down? That's the ideal scenario. So that means altcoins are outperforming Bitcoin quickly, hard, fast, and that would start a euphoric phase as far as altcoins are concerned. Next thing we need to look at is the S&P 500. Now, this is a bearish pattern. This is ascending. So this is concerning. We need to understand how the markets react if something like this happens and it comes back to test the start of this pattern here. How will the markets react? Will crypto go negative? Will the rest of the market go negative? Will that create fear in the market? We can understand that by looking at the Russell 2000. I said it's one of the most important things. When we get a breakout of this Russell 2000, this is going to signify on risk as far as stocks are concerned. This is the macro. This is what we're talking about as far as macro is concerned. And there's so much liquidity within the Russell 2000. It's unbelievable when you compare it to total 3. So when the Russell 2000 breaks its all-time high here, which is currently testing now, this is so important. It's going to happen in the next few days. We're going to understand in the next few days, is the Russell 2000 going to reject or is it going to break through? Because if it breaks through, you expect it to break through with volume. That's going to give confidence of total 3. Total 3 is going to break through. That's going to trigger my exit strategy, and I'll be scaling out of the market over a period of time whilst the market's putting in higher highs, whilst the market's putting in higher lows, and I'll be coming out of my altcoins and diversifying into off-risk assets and flipping it in reverse, guys. Off risk during times of, guys, you want to be off risk during times of market crashes, during times of bear markets. So ultimately, you're preparing to go from on risk into off risk, but you need these metrics to happen. This is my main metric, is the break and close of total 3. So that's a tick. We've got total 3 testing, and we're going to find out within the next few days if it's going to break out. Russell 2000, exactly the same. We're going to find out in the next few days, is it going to break out? We can see the others against Bitcoin. Zoom out, zoom out, zoom out. What did we have here? Stick that in there. We had a golden cross. When we had this golden cross, that indicated that altcoins, and this is high risk, altcoins outside of the top 10, collectively were outperforming the big daddy Bitcoin. So we understood that this was an indication that retail are interested and we were starting to go on risk. So that was a tick. All of these metrics together, guys, collectively paint a picture. And ultimately, the ones that we're looking for in the short term is this. And we're going to monitor this over the next few days. So make sure that you get yourself in the Discord group, because this is where you can speak to me directly. This is where we can all stay up to date. This is where we all chat to each other. So don't be shy, guys, because there's no stupid questions. It is free to get in there. Get yourself in there. When you get in there, actually, let me just show this because a lot of people don't understand this. When you get in there, you'll go start here. Why is this? This is because there's bots on here and we try and protect the community as much as possible. You just go to the top. I'll clean this up soon. And then you've got a solve capture. Solve capture, show you're not in a bot, and you'll get access to all of these great servers. Chart requests, share your charts, all of these different great servers, but ultimately you can have discussions with me directly here. So that's about it from me for now. Take care of yourself and I'll see you in the next one.